Vladimir Guerrero Jr. looks like an MVP candidate this season, and he's proving those who said he couldn't possibly live up to the lofty standards set by his father wrong. Here's how the kid hitting lasers all over Major League ballparks is making waves.
Swing it and drive, get up, ball, get out of here, and grand slam for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. First pitch swinging, and he crushes it. Deep left center field. And he is all alone atop the Major League home run leaderboard right now.
Guerrero Jr. was born shortly before the start of the 1999 MLB season in Montreal, Quebec, while his father, a 9-time All-Star, the 2004 AL MVP, and now a Hall of Famer, was playing for the Expos. He spent most of his childhood in the Dominican Republic, and was only 14 years old the first time then Blue Jays general manager Alex Anthopoulos saw him swinging a bat on a scouting trip. In July 2015, the Jays signed the then 16-year-old highly sought-after prospect for a $3.9 million signing bonus, and boy did it pay off. By 2017, Guerrero was the #1 prospect in the Jays system. By 2019, he was the top prospect in all of baseball. There were calls for Guerrero to be called up to the majors at age 19, when he hit .402 in half a season at AA in 2018. He was the rarest of prospects, one in which Baseball America gave top of the scouting grades of 80 to his future power and hitting ability. That just doesn't happen. He had the rarest of prospect pedigree and bloodlines. He was a must-see prodigy. On the day of his 2019 call-up, his batting practice at the Rogers Centre was made into live TV in Canada. But Vlad Jr.'s a reminder that not every top prospect, not even Mike Trout, makes a seamless transition to stardom. Guerrero Jr. debuted early in the 2019 season, but just late enough for the Blue Jays to, of course, delay his free agency eligibility. Guerrero's rookie results were middling. It even gave the Jays some cover for not promoting him earlier. He hit a modest .272 with 15 home runs in 514 plate appearances. According to the metric Weighted Runs Created Plus, which adjusts for ballpark and run-scoring environments, he was only slightly better than a league average hitter. He wasn't much better in last year's pandemic-shortened season either. In empty Major League ballparks last summer, he hit just .262, and there was some slight concern bubbling up in Blue Jays Nation. Wasn't Vladdy supposed to be another Manny Ramirez, like right away? While he did put on a show at the Home Run Derby during the 2019 All-Star Game in Cleveland, reminding everyone of the otherworldly raw talent in his bat, too often he was smashing balls into the ground.
2-2. A bouncer to first, and Morales will make the play. Guerrero retired in his first big league at bat, and still gets a standing ovation.
More troubling was that at age 21, he was already adding weight to his frame. He showed up to the Blue Jays post-COVID summer camp last year, tipping the scales at 280 pounds. After rising up through the Toronto system as a third baseman and playing most of his rookie season at the hot corner, he moved to first base last year. At age 21, he was already moving down the defensive spectrum. He was running out of places to play on the field defensively. Not only did it reduce flexibility for the club, but it put more pressure on his bat to perform. Unlike his father, who arrived in the majors as a 5-tool monster and who had a cannon for an arm in right field and was one homer from a 40-40 season in 2002, Vlad Jr. was beginning to look rather one-dimensional. And that dimension hadn't even been awe-inspiring yet. While there was still plenty of optimism surrounding the son of Vlad entering this year, there were more questions and doubts about his future than there had been a few years earlier. Would Guerrero bounce back and remind everyone that his bat, seemingly supernatural in the minors, still possessed the rarest combination of speed and bat-to-ball skills? Yes, he would.
He has singled and scored and grounded out. The first pitch swung on, hit high in the air to left field. Back goes Benintendi. It's gone. Another home run for Guerrero, his second in his many.
Many of us shrug off those in the best shape of their lives stories each spring as players report to camps in Florida and Arizona. So many of those stories just don't materialize. But sometimes they do matter, and in the case of Vlad Jr., it meant a great deal. From the end of the playoffs to the beginning of spring training, Guerrero said he dropped 45 pounds from his 6'2" frame. He became more agile and flexible in his movements, including in his swing. The Blue Jays hoped it would unlock his potential. His body was in a better place, and so too was his approach at the plate. While he was never swinging wildly out of the zone, Guerrero Jr. cut his chase rate in each of the last 2 seasons. He's nearly doubled his walk rate early this season to an elite rate of 15% of plate appearances. Pitchers don't want to challenge him, but when they do, he's not missing. Quite simply, he's swinging at more pitches in the zone, pitches batters are more likely to make square contact against. He's performing above average against every major league pitch type save for split finger fastballs. Hidden beneath a modest overall performance last year was that Guerrero was crushing baseballs. He was just crushing them into the ground and creating sizable divots across major league infields. His average velocity was 92.3 miles per hour, well above the major league average, and his max exit velocity readings were elite. The problem was he had the 10th highest ground ball rate among qualified major league hitters. Billy Hamilton ought to be pounding the ball into the ground, not Vladdy Jr. This season, Guerrero Jr.'s ground ball rate is down 7 percentage points, as he's increased the balls he's hit into the air.
1-1 is drilled to right field and deep and gone. Guerrero with an opposite field home run.
He's also hitting the ball even harder than he did last year. Batted balls are leaving his bat on average at 94.8 miles per hour, 3rd in the majors. Only 5 major league hitters are barreling balls more often than Guerrero Jr., a metric that tries to measure optimum contact. And unlike so many pull-focused hitters in today's game of launch angle and home runs, Guerrero's cutting his rate of pulled balls, using the whole field as well as any hitter is. Perhaps Guerrero can make himself shift-proof and be the rare hitter in today's game of overload defensive alignments and strikeouts to maintain a high batting average. It's all resulted in Guerrero becoming an absolute offensive force.
Bringing a drive deep to center field. Get up, get out of here, and gone! Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
Possessing nearly a perfect offensive profile aside from lacking speed. If his MLB best 199 weighted runs created plus mark holds, Guerrero would have the 2nd best age 22 season in history. Guerrero Jr. is already flirting with some early career historical comps. He's even having a better age 22 season than his Hall of Fame father did. The most recent comp for an elite age 22 season is Bryce Harper's 2015 campaign, the 2nd best such age 22 season on record. Harper won NL MVP that year. At the risk of getting way ahead of ourselves, there's never been a Hall of Fame father to have a Hall of Fame son. There's at least the potential there for Vlad Jr. to join his dad in Cooperstown. Of course, a lot has to go well. Guerrero must remain healthy and perhaps keep showing up to spring camps in the best shape of his life for years to come. But Hall of Famers generally must begin being great early, and Vlad's doing that. He took a slight detour to arrive here, but he's still mashing at an age when most major league players have yet to advance beyond Double-A.
His first time up, goes out to the first pitch and hits it hard.